Hello NFL fans and welcome back to the Bowl of NFL channel. In this video today, I'm going to be recapping Super Bowl 56. Super Bowl 56, I really expected to be one of the best Super Bowls of all time. And whilst it was a really good game, I didn't think it quite lived up to my expectations, but I did put it on quite a pedestal. The Rams made a really big start to the game, scoring a touchdown early on, and the Bengals couldn't really get themselves going, which was kind of very similar to the championship game that they had against the Chiefs. I thought that the Rams, they started really well getting the ball to Odell Beckham, and despite Cooper Kupp not being able to make as many big plays on the ball early on in the game as he did late, I thought that Odell Beckham was fantastic until he got injured. That injury really changed the game for the Bengals and the Rams. The Bengals started to get more into the game, and the Bengals, Matthew Stafford didn't really have as many options to throw the ball to, and it meant that the Rams they stumbled a little bit, and they weren't able to move the ball quite as much as they would have wanted to. I mean, the Rams, they couldn't move the ball with the running game at all. They only had 13 rushes, I think it was in the end, and Cam Akers was getting absolutely no luck on the ground. He only had 21 yards. But Matthew Stafford through the air did have a lot of yards. He had 283, and that was pretty much all in the second half and early on in the first half. So the Rams, they did struggle without Odell Beckham. Cooper Kupp did have quite a good game himself in the end. He racked up eventually, mostly in the second half, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he won the Super Bowl MVP, which is one of the most prestigious awards in the NFL. However, Matthew Stafford is kind of been prone to interceptions this year, and it was a very close game, so when he threw his 2 interceptions, I thought the Bengals were really going to capitalize on it. But as I said, one of the interceptions were early on in the game, and yeah, the Bengals, they didn't really get themselves going until kind of the second quarter. The second quarter that the Bengals had was a pretty good one. They ended up getting their touchdown with a few big plays by Joe Mixon. He had 5 carries, and the Bengals dinked and dunked down the field. Jamar Chase broke a tackle, and there we go. Bengals get into the end zone. And it made for a really close finish to the second half. The Bengals made an absolutely crazy momentum swing coming out into the second half, and T. Higgins catches on the first play of the second half a 75-yard touchdown and makes Jalen Ramsey look an absolute fool. I know there was a bit of a face mask, but it was so quick, the refs didn't really have a chance to see it, and whilst slow motion makes it look pretty bad, in real time, it didn't seem like an awful lot at the time. But T. Higgins and the Bengals capitalized massively on that first possession out of the second half. And not only that, but as soon as the Rams get it, Matthew Stafford throws it straight through his receiver's hands, Skoronix, and it ends up in another interception. So that's Matthew Stafford's second interception. The Bengals took it down they didn't take it too far down the field because they were already in Rams territory. And the fact that the Bengals only scored a field goal from this kind of showed that the Rams were ready to fight on defense. And boy, did they fight. Aaron Donald, the defensive line, got 5 sacks in the second half on Joe Burrow. And for a good few drives, the Bengals went absolutely nowhere. For 4 straight drives, the Bengals punted every time. And it just meant that the Rams, despite the fact that the Bengals were playing really well themselves defensively, especially against the run, as I said earlier, with Cam Akers getting absolutely nowhere, it meant that the Rams were able to slowly get themselves back in the game, with Cooper Kupp making some big plays here and there. Whilst he didn't break out for a whole bunch of yards or a massive play, he kept on breaking one tackle here, one tackle there, getting a catch here, getting a catch there, and it meant that the Rams were able to move the chains a lot more successfully than the Bengals. After the first 4 possessions of the second half, there wasn't actually anything that really happened for a good while. It took until the last couple of drives of the whole game for anything to happen other than punts. The Rams were just not able to move the ball quite as much as they needed to against the Bengals. The linebackers played a fantastic game, and it took one fantastic drive by Matthew Stafford and the Rams to really break the deadlock of no points being exchanged either way. There were some pretty questionable decisions on this drive in the red zone by the referees, with a holding penalty on Wilson, number 55 for the Bengals, the linebacker, and whilst after that the Bengals did commit a few penalties, but there were just some really questionable decisions because earlier on in the game, like I said with T. Higgins and Jalen Ramsey, there was no flag on that play, but on a play where I thought it was actually a pretty fair game, Wilson was flagged, and it meant that the Rams got another few attempts at the end zone. And of course, if you give Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford a number of plays in the red zone, they're going to score a touchdown. And it meant that the Rams were able to get up against the Bengals for the go-ahead and game-winning touchdown in the end. I think pretty much as everyone predicted, it was the Rams defensive line that made the biggest impact in the game, and stuffing the Bengals on every drive meant that the Rams were able to win the game in the end. I really thought that after this touchdown that Cooper Kupp scored, I thought the Bengals with 1 minute 30 on the clock would be able to go down the field and score. But Aaron Donald, one of the best defensive players of all time, came in clutch, and this is exactly where one of the best players of all time need to step up. So on a pretty easy 3rd and 1, the Bengals handed off the ball to running back Pirine, and Aaron Donald was able to make an incredible stop and give the Bengals absolutely no yards, which meant that it was 4th and 1 and a big decision for Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And of course, they went for it. With 1 minute on the clock, they had to. And Aaron Donald comes up clutch again. He gets past his blocker, rushes Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow just threw a pass just to try and get it to anyone who could make a play, because it was 4th and 1. If he misses that, the Rams have won the game. And unfortunately, no Bengals player is able to get it. And I mean, I would be surprised if it was. I thought it was going to be an interception the way that Joe Burrow threw it. But in the end, Aaron Donald comes in clutch, one of the best defensive players of all time. There's a lot of talk of him now retiring after the game, and that with his Super Bowl ring. Of course, he's had 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, and he's one of the most successful defensive players of all time. And I'm not so convinced that he's going to retire. Of course, now he has every award he ever joined the NFL to get, but surely he can try and get another one next year, right? The Rams have an excellent team. Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, they're still under contract. Jalen Ramsey too. And of course, they're going to be trying to bring back Odell, Von Miller, who helped them get that final second half of the season push and playoff push to get to the Super Bowl. So I think that even if Andrew Whitworth retires, even if someone else retires, the Rams still have a stacked roster. And I think they have a great chance of getting back to the Super Bowl next year. So I don't think Aaron Donald's going to be retiring. Pretty much every Rams player had a great game last night. Aside from Jalen Ramsey, their star cover corner had a bit of an off night. Well, maybe not just a bit. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase absolutely burnt him at times and set up some really big point-scoring drives for the team. Sean McVay also now becomes the youngest head coach of all time to win a Super Bowl at 36. And what's crazy is he has players on his team older than him. And I think him at the Rams, with the stacked roster that they have, they're going to be around for a long time, I reckon. The Bengals have done an amazing job to get to this point, and I think that they can't forget the achievement that they've had this year. Winning the AFC North when most people predicted them to finish 4th in their division, I think is just amazing. And they have been nothing short of special this year. So congratulations to the Rams. They have some amazing players who all came in clutch in the biggest moments, and I think that we're definitely going to be seeing them competing again next year as well. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. It has been a fantastic NFL season, and it's a shame it's finally over, but maybe there'll be some more things coming up on Bowl of NFL.